This example problem is x squared minus 9x plus 14 equals 0. All right, and the first question is, what should I do first? And that goes to Armstrong. Yeah, we can set up the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac. What does the discriminant tell us, Hammond? That's right, it tells you how many solutions there are. How do I use the discriminant? In other words, what's my next step? And that goes to 11C. That's right, you got to put all the numbers in. So read to me, left to right, with numbers instead of letters, what the discriminant should be when we set it up. And that goes to Baldridge.
Negative 9 squared minus 4 times 1 times 14.
That is right. The quantity squared of negative 9 minus 4 times 1 times 14. What is the quantity squared of negative 9, Kleiber? 81 is right. And what is 4 times 1 times 14, Montalban? 4 times 1 times 14? Try again. 4 times 1 times 14. 56 is right. Okay, so we have 56. What is 81 minus 56 imes? 25 is right. What does this 25 for a discriminant tell me, Carver?
That it has, it's greater than 0, so it has 2 solutions.
That's right, it has 2 solutions. So we know to expect 2 solutions. Okay, so we'll come over here and rewrite the problem. X squared minus 9x plus 14 equals 0. I know it's going to have 2 solutions, so what's my first step in finding those solutions? Woodrow. What's my first step in finding the solution here, Owens? What's the first step in finding the solution, Armstrong?
Set up the quadratic equation.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to set up the quadratic formula, which is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2 times a. All right, what is b? And that goes to Hammond. Yeah, b is negative 9, so we do negative 9, and then we'll do the quantity squared of negative 9 minus 4 times, what is a? And that goes to 11c. 1 is right, and what is c? And that goes to Baldridge. 14 is right. And on the bottom we'll have 2 times a, so that's 2 times 1. All right, so let's go here. What does this become? Negative 9, that goes to Kleiber.
9.
That becomes 9, right, it's a double negative, so it's 9. And what is the quantity squared of negative 9? That goes to Montalban. How much? Not 81, yes, it would be 81. Okay, and from before we should know that 4 times 1 times 14 is 56. And this is all over 2. So if we simplify under the square root, we've already done this, 81 minus 56, that's 25. What is the square root of 25 imes? 5. Okay, so once I reach this point, what must I do now, Carver?
your positive and negative equation.
Yeah, we'll have to split it into two things, 9 plus 5 over 2 and 9 minus 5 over 2. What will my answer be on the left-hand side? And that goes to Woodrow. What will my answer be on the left-hand side, Owens? How much? 11.5. Well, let's see. 9 plus 5 is 14 over 2 is going to give me 7. All right, so what will my answer be on the right-hand side? And we'll give this one to Owens again. Yep, it'll be 2. So 9 minus 5 is not a squiggly mark, it's 4 over 2, so you'll get a 2. 7 or 2 would be your answer. This practice problem is negative 4x squared minus 9x plus 3 equals 0. For this practice problem, you should have a negative 9. Remember that it starts off as negative b, and the b is already negative, so you have a double negative. Plus or minus the square root of the quantity squared of negative 9, and then minus 4 times negative 4 times 3. All of that is going to be, and then we'll have 2 times negative 4. So this will be 9 plus or minus the square root of 81. Double negative changes to positive. 4 times 4 is 16 times 3 is 48. On the bottom you'll have a negative 8. So 9 plus or minus the square root of 81 plus 48 is 129. And then on the bottom you're going to have a negative 8. Okay, so we'll have 9 plus the square root of 129 over negative 8, and 9 minus the square root of 129 over negative 8. So in the calculator, you have to do 9 plus the square root of 129, and that comes out to be 20 point something, but you have to leave that answer in there and then hit divide by negative 8. Round to the tenths place, and it's negative 2.5. And then on the other side, 9 minus the square root of 129. Get that answer, and then divide by negative 8. Round to the tenths place to get 0.3. You should have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 4 minus 5, or times a minus 5. On the bottom, you should have 2 times 4. So we'll have a negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 plus 80 over 8. Looks like an 18, but it's really an 8. So negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 116 over 8. Now we have to split this up because this is not a perfect square. So negative 6 plus the square root of 116 over 8, and negative 6 minus the square root of 116 over 8. For the left-hand side, you have to do minus 6 plus the square root of 116 first. Hit enter and then divide by 8. And you will come up with 0.6 rounded to the tenths place. Or on the right you have negative 6 minus the square root of 116 and then divide by 8. That will turn out to be a negative 2.1.